Hello and welcome to GCS Today here on Channel 21, the program that brings you news and information from Gaston County Schools. I'm Todd Higgins. On today's episode, we talk with Gaston County Schools Athletic Director Chad Duncan about the conference realignment process. And Cherryville High School coach and athletic director Scott Harrill joins us to discuss 3 significant honors. Joining me on GCS Today is Chad Duncan. He is the athletic director for Gaston County Schools. And Mr. Duncan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Higgins, for having me. Appreciate it.
We are talking about the conference realignment process. And this is something that happens every 4 years for high schools. And it is conducted by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. So talk with us a little bit about the realignment process and why it is necessary.
Okay. It first starts off with people asking to be on the realignment committee, and then they are appointed by the High School Athletic Association. That ranges from athletic directors at the school to a person like myself, to a principal from a school, or also superintendents. They're all represented on the realignment committee. And what happens is this year they looked at ADM numbers, so the average daily membership. They also factored in a formula for ISP, which is identified student percentage. So a lot of times it relates to free and reduced lunch with USDA regulations. And then they also use the Wells Fargo points and how successful a team has been throughout the last 4 years, basically. So they look at all those things, and this is the realignment committee that has been appointed. There are different deadlines that have to be met. There's a draft and then an appeal, then there's another draft and an appeal, and then there's a third draft and an appeal. And then the board of directors would then okay it, and then it's supposed to last for the next 4 years. Why do they do it? ADM numbers change. The success factor is going to change that they mentioned. And then the ISP number could change as well. And changes are needed. There are times that I believe the previous realignment committee might have missed something necessary or whatever, but this is a time for them to correct it. And there's also new focuses here and there. They will constantly look at trying to improve. And I'm mentioning the High School Athletic Association here because you have different things that pop up, like travel expenses could pop up for a conference that has a wide area to travel. So that could weigh into it. And then geographic features, rivalries, those will also go into it as well.
It really is like putting together a gigantic puzzle and looking at the ADM, which is student attendance and the other factors, and trying to fit schools into conferences. And sometimes you end up with great conferences, and sometimes you end up with conferences that leave you scratching your head about why is that like that. So let's take a look at what is in store for Gaston County with the beginning with 2021 through the 2025 school years for athletic conferences. And it looks like Gaston County will play in 2 conferences. The first conference, we will have a 3A conference with Ashbrook, Hunter Huss, Forest View, South Point, North Gaston, and Stuart W. Kramer, along with Crest and Kings Mountain. So that makes for a good Gaston, Cleveland County conference. And I think that when you look at that conference, probably the most notable change is South Point moves up from 2A to 3A, the 3A classification. So what do you think about the 3A conference for Gaston and Cleveland counties? And what is the benefit of having South Point move up into the 3A classification?
Well, when I consider all sports, I believe this is a very, very strong conference at the 3A level. If you earn a conference title, I think that's a great accomplishment. And I'm, again, considering all sports. South Point is very competitive in almost every sport. So that's only going to add to the strength of the conference. And I can tell you this, South Point is very happy to be in this conference. The previous 4 years, they were, 2A, and it was kind of a weird situation, and that was appealed and all that stuff, but it didn't go through. So they're very happy to be back with 3A conference and to continue the rivalries that they've had in the past.
And the previous conference, you saw South Point and East Gaston as 2A schools playing schools in Cleveland and even, I think, in Rutherford County. So that added to your travel for games. And also, you lost out, I think, on some of those big rivalries that you're used to, your in-county rivalry. So it is good to see South Point in the 3A ranks again, playing with those Gaston County teams, and then of course Kings Mountain and Crest from Cleveland County. Now we have another conference that will involve Gaston County schools, and that is our 1A schools, Bessemer City, Cherryville, and Highland. They are going to be in a split conference, a 1A, 2A conference with East Gaston, which is our only 2A school, and they will play in a conference with other 2A schools, Shelby, Burns, and Thomas Jefferson. This conference here is an interesting conference because at some years you try to discourage split conferences, but it looks like we're going to have a 1A, 2A split conference. What is your take on this conference?
Well, we know for our smaller schools, football and basketball will be difficult, but I have been more than happy with our athletic directors' attitudes and obviously them leading their schools. They're ready to compete. And this is also going to be a very competitive conference. And it shows the High School Athletic Association's focus when they said that they were going to try to make things more regional, not have as much travel. They said this early on, so before they even had the first draft. And when they did that, I felt that there was going to be more split conferences, and there definitely are.
And I think that, well, first off, let's just say, I don't think anybody wants to have Shelby in the conference to play football. So that certainly is a challenge with knowing the powerhouse that Shelby has with football. And I think that we would love to see at some point the East Gaston enrollment to increase and those other factors to be considered. So the East Gaston, it would be great to have East Gaston in a 3A conference where you would have those natural in-county rivalries. But I do think it is interesting. I can remember when teams like Bessemer City and Cherryville, they had to travel to Polk County and to Hendersonville to be in a 1A conference. So you can see why it's necessary to have that 1A, 2A split conference, so you cut down on that travel time.
That's definitely true. And also, just to consider this, a short time ago, I believe it was 3 realignments ago, East Gaston was a 4A school, but that was also before Stuart Kramer came around. But now them being 2A, yeah, it would be great if we could get them back to being 3A. I agree.
I think also with Highland and Bessemer City and Cherryville, they have been playing in a conference with charter schools across the Charlotte region. And so that increased a lot of travel time. And also, you did not have some of those regular rivalries, I guess you could say. So the rivalries really help with your revenue, your ticket sales. And so it is good to see that Bessemer City, Cherryville, and Highland will have some of those rivalries with Gaston and Cleveland County schools. And I think that is a benefit for our 1A schools.
Oh, I definitely agree. When you're gate funded, that is only going to help, especially when we realize that the 2A conference that South Point and East Gaston were in, and then the 1A conference, to see the away stands and not see very many people in the seats, that was difficult. So yeah, hopefully this definitely helps.
And I think as an athletic director, you want to be in a conference that is competitive, to a conference that has some rivalries, because we always like that when it comes to support sports and the competitiveness of sports. But you also, as the athletic director, you want to see people in the stands, and you want to see them on the home side and on the visitor side.
That definitely correct. Like I said, if you're a coach, you just want a chance to compete. If you're the athletic director, you have to see all sports, and you have to hope that you're competitive in all sports. But you really do need people to attend games, so that way your program can have more and more benefits.
So let's say that there is a committee of one, and Chad Duncan was the committee. What would you say, as our county athletic director, what would you want to see with our teams, our high school teams in conferences?
Well, it would be great if all 10 of our schools that participate in sports were all the same size. So then all of us could be in one big conference. And then there'd be a Gaston County battle or rivalries all around. But that's just not the case. So with us having now 2 conferences, as you stated earlier, instead of 3, I mean, that we understand it. There are some things that are still a little bit, different, the hurdles we have to jump over, but all of them together would be absolutely fantastic. And we have that basically at the middle school level, where our 11 schools all compete with each other. It's a great atmosphere, and high school, that would be great too. But they also have some rivalries right outside of our county that our schools love to play. And they also generate a lot of gate revenue. So that's a tough question. It really is.
Well, I think the alignment plans that the state has determined for us, I think Gaston County came out of that process in a pretty good situation this time around.
Well, we would like to think so. There are some concerns, but we also believe that our schools are going to do their best whenever they can. And I truly appreciate that attitude. And, we can only just hope for the best. And as one of our athletic directors stated, we line up for whoever's against us across the way. So it doesn't matter. We're going to play them. So I love that attitude, and hopefully we stay as competitive as possible.
That really is the attitude to have, regardless of conference and all of this talk that we have shared about the realignment process. It's about getting out there on that court or that field and enjoying the game, doing your best, and trying to put forth a winning attitude and a winning effort.
I truly agree. That's what we're trying to do, and be sportsmen at the same time.
Chad Duncan, the athletic director for Gaston County Schools. Mr. Duncan, we appreciate you being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you very much.
You are watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Joining me on GCS Today is Scott Harrill. He is the athletic director at Cherryville High School. Mr. Harrill, it is great to have you with us.
Always a pleasure seeing you, Todd.
We are talking about 3 significant honors this year. So I want to congratulate you first on securing your school a spot on a national honor roll. You received the Athletic Director of Excellence Award, and you became the all-time winningest basketball coach in Gaston County. So congratulations on those honors for you as well as for your school, for Cherryville High School.
Thanks a lot. It's a total team effort up here in Cherryville. Got a lot of great coaches to work with, and during these tough times like COVID, like we've been through, to have some bright news and some awesome coaches to work with and the community, it's been a great year.
Let's first talk about the National Honor Roll distinction for Cherryville High School. Cherryville High School is the only school in Gaston County to receive this honor, and among only 33 in North Carolina to achieve the Level 1 status in the National Federation of State High School Associations Honor Roll program. Tell us more about this recognition.
So this is a national recognition that the National Federation has put forth. They give classes for continuing education that your coaches can do. And then the North Carolina High School Athletic Association also pushed it. In Gaston County, I talked to Chad Duncan about it. He was all for it. You've got to have 90% of your coaches to take all 4 of the classes that they offer. And that's pretty hard when you've got 35, 36 coaches on staff to get 90% participation. But that just speaks volumes of our coaches and what they're willing to do to continue their education and get better. 2 of the main classes that were sudden cardiac arrest and protecting students against abuse. 2 things we really want to save lives if that takes place. We hope it never does. But then protecting students against abuse. Not only abuse maybe at home, but abuse in a relationship, and just knowing those signs to look for and anything we can do to help our student athletes. Our coaches always step right up to the plate.
We have an article on the Gaston County Schools website that talks more about this honor, and it outlines those courses. So if you want to read that article, you can check that out on our website. I think it is interesting to see that these are professional development courses that were developed as a result of the pandemic, so they could provide these opportunities for coaches virtually. How have your coaches responded to this idea? It seems like they were ready to participate and to engage in this professional development.
They were. We talked about it starting back in May, and then we came over the summer and they worked on some of the classes over the summer. And then we finished up the coaches that were still not complete back in August, September to start a school year. But every coach we asked to do it, we talked to them, set them down, and they were ready to go. And it was great as an athletic director to know that your coaches will do whatever it takes, to make it best for our student athletes, and putting in their time. They didn't gain any money out of that. They didn't gain anything except knowledge and helping in their sport and helping their kids out. So that was good to see them ready to step up.
It certainly helps your student athletes. It prepares your coaches, and it has brought a national recognition to Cherryville High School that has made us all proud. So again, congratulations on that. And
thank you.
Congratulations also are in order because the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association selected you as one of 12 people to receive the Athletic Director of Excellence Award, which is given to nationally certified athletic administrators for outstanding service and leadership. So I want to ask you, how did you find out that you were chosen for this award, and what does receiving this award mean to you?
I guess Chad Duncan must have got an email or some notification, because Chad Duncan's the one that called and congratulated me first about it. It was on Twitter. It doesn't mean as much for me as it does for my whole athletic department. It's more of a coaches, we're all in it together. I have the title of athletic director, but we all work as one. I like for coaches to have input on what we do. I like for coaches to be involved in what we do. And everybody doing their part makes my job easier and better. So, for the North Carolina Association of Athletic Directors to recognize me, that's kind of a team and a school award. It's kind of like the coaches with our district honor roll. They just do so much, and everything around here I like to do is like being a part of a family. So your team's a family, then our whole athletic department's a family. And, bringing our wives and our kids around games and around practice that they can see. And our community in Cherryville is so supportive. It's a small community, but we feel like we've got one of the best places to live in Gaston County, and definitely one of the best schools in North Carolina.
Now, During the most recent basketball season, you reached a coaching milestone. You recorded your 380th win as a basketball coach, making you the winningest basketball coach in Gaston County. That is a very special honor. How does that make you feel?
Well, a bit overwhelming when you think about it, and how many years you've been in, so many great kids, such a great program to be able to be in charge of. But there again, it's not about me. It's the kids that came through it. And I've had 3 coaches with me just about the whole way. Coach Tate and Coach Black have been with me since I started day one. So they mentored this young guy and kind of helped train me up and brought on the Ironman way. And they're still with me to this day. Coach Griggs is a great up and coming coach who's been with me for over 10 years and played for me for 4 years. So he's a tremendous help relating to some young kids because he still is young. So it's not a Coach Harrill won 380 games. It's Cherryville High School basketball program. We did 380 together. But some of the good part, you got to talk to kids from past years that called or text me when they heard about it, just reminiscing about some old times. I don't feel old, but boy, my body sometimes seems like it is. And you got to be around great people to get that big a number.
And Coach, you have, has it been 20 years? Have you been the head coach, basketball coach for, it's been about 20 years, right?
20 years that went by in a blink of an eye. So it's been a good 20 and hoping for more to come. You know, it's not about wins and losses. It's just what you get to teach these kids and how you get to see them grow as individuals. And that's the most rewarding part about me. Not 380 wins or 100 and however many losses, but how you see these kids grow. And then the relationships you have when they get out of school, they call you, hey, Coach, I just had my first child, or Coach, I'm getting married. Will you come to the wedding? Things like that's what us coaches, we enjoy.
And I certainly enjoyed in my time as the newspaper editor there in Cherryville covering your games. There was a lot of excitement in Nixon Gym, and you really could tell that it was more about than just winning. You really had a family atmosphere, and you were trying to train up the athletes to just be great people. And so congratulations on your success. And it's good to see that your name is in the, I guess you could say, in the record books for Gaston County as the all-time winningest basketball coach for Gaston County. So when you think about your student athletes, you know, winning is important in sports.
Sure.
But what do you want your student athletes to accomplish? What do you want for your student athletes when they go out onto the court?
You know, I want them to understand that athletics is just more than that. It's not about wins and losses in high school athletics. It's about friendships. It's about growing. It's about good times and bad times and how do you get through those. And every day's a new day. Every day's a chance to grow. Don't settle because you won today. Tomorrow's a new day. Don't stop because you lost today, that tomorrow's a new day. You know, never give up. Always give your best. And we try to teach that as a life lesson about each game is, you know, sometimes you're not going to have the best day at work. Don't quit your job. Come back the next day and do better. Someday you're going to have a great day at work, but the next day may be tough. And it's the same way when you get married, guys. You know, you're going to have that spouse, and it may not be the best day at home, but it's going to get better. Never quit, never give up. Fight for what you believe in. And that's what we look at as athletics with my basketball team, and I hope as our athletic department. You know, I've always looked at this as part of my ministry, my life goal, and what I do. So it's an enjoyment part of me. Both my wife, who supported me all these years, you know, she teaches as well. So we still get up all these years later and say we're going to school. It's not that we're going to work. We get to wake up every day, and I guess one day I will graduate school maybe, and she will as well. But having her as a partner who supports me in what I do allows me to enjoy every day with those kids.
Let's think for a moment. You certainly have tried to teach a lot of lessons with your athletes, but also with your students in your classroom. What lessons, though, have your students taught you?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, kids are resilient, I guess is a good word. They bounce back really easier than adults do a lot of times. So they're resilient. They can take tough coaching and bounce right back, or, you know, tough times in school and they can bounce back. So they've taught me to be resilient, that it's, you know, times that you move on. Kids are a lot, I think, more energetic a lot of times than us adults. So feeding off their energy helps keep me young. You know, I feel like kids have great hearts. Kids see the best in other people. And I enjoy that, because sometimes you get old and as adults, you don't always just see the best in people. So kids do. They try to look at the positives and see what's best. And, you know, anytime you get to be in education, public education is so good, because you're around so many kids and you can see them grow. And when you see a kid grow and do good, it makes you feel good. So I take a lot of those lessons from the kids and those relationships.
Coach Scott Harrill, the athletic director at Cherryville High School. Again, congratulations on the significant recognitions for you and your school this year. And we know that you will continue to do great things in Ironman country in Cherryville. And we want to thank you for being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins, and thank everybody at GCS for always supporting us up here. Like I say, never think this is about Scott Harrill. This is about our athletic department and all those coaches that give all their time and those kids that play for us.
Thank you for watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. Before we go, we would like to recognize the 5 finalists for Gaston County Principal of the Year. They are Kevin Doran of Cherryville High School, Jill Payne of Hawks Nest STEAM Academy, Loretta Reed of Woodhill Elementary School, Torben Ross of Robinson Elementary School, and Tyler West of Pinewood Elementary School. Stay tuned to Channel 21 for the latest news and information from Gaston County Schools. For GCS Today, I'm Todd Higgins. We look forward to seeing you next time.